I would walk by a club, I hear the club playing American trap music, try to walk in the club, it's no black people allowed.
What? Welcome to the Melanated Files. In this series, we highlight and share the stories of black people from across the globe. Remember to subscribe to this channel for weekly videos and also follow us on social media for regular updates. Let's get into the interview. What's up? Welcome to another episode of the Melanated Files. My name is Ranzo, and today we're joined with Andrew Atwaters. First of all, introduce yourself to the world.
All right, my name is Andrew Atwaters, also known as Atwaters. I'm a hip-hop artist living here in South Korea, and I'm also originally from Florida. So yeah, been here about 5 years now.
Okay, so why South Korea? Of all the places in the world, why this country?
So basically, I moved to South Korea out of impulse. I just kind of wanted to change like the situation that I was in.
Yeah.
I didn't really look up much about South Korea. Like I knew that it existed, and someone at the time introduced me to the idea of teaching over here.
Okay.
And I took the idea and ran with it.
Yeah.
Like it was just off of impulse. Like really, I can teach in another country, and I ran with it. So it's really just an impulse move.
So did you want to like travel? Was it a thing that you wanted to do like when you were younger, or no?
I did, but I never really had a close circle of friends that was traveling. And a person that I was involved with at the time, she was someone that traveled all over the world. And she kind of introduced me to the idea, just learning from her experiences, intrigued my idea of wanting to travel. So yeah, that was pretty much it. But I didn't really move to South Korea just to travel. It was a plan like once I got here, but I really just wanted to get out of Florida. You know what I mean? Just get out of the States and experience something new.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay. So when you finally came, right? What was that like? The change of scenery, culture, people, what was that like?
I mean, everything was totally different. I came here in February. I'm from Florida. So I didn't really have a heavy jacket, and the first thing was like, oh my goodness.
Was it snowing?
It was snowing when I got here. And I got here, my school had a bus that was waiting for me, but the bus was not in the place they said it was going to be. So I was just out there in the shivering cold with a light, not a t-shirt.
Okay.
I had a jacket, but it was a light jacket. So just, man, I was freezing. And then just, a lot of people that I met trying to ask directions couldn't really speak English. So I had to get accustomed to everything because everything was new to me. Like I said, I didn't really look up any information about South Korea before I went. I just left. Yes, I just left.
Okay. So like any culture shock?
Of course, everything was different, just getting accustomed to the food, just the people, how to react to you. I met people that didn't want to sit by me on the train, people that want to sit by me on the bus. Just going to the grocery store was just totally different. Like in America, they would bag your stuff. Here, the lady gave me a bag and I looked at her and she's looking at me and she went on to the next person. And then someone came and they put the groceries in my bag and they looked at me and that's when I know, okay, I have to bag my own groceries. So, just simple stuff like that I wasn't used to.
Yeah. Okay. So what do you like, before even that, get to that question. So I know you do music as well, right? So you're an English teacher primarily,
right?
But your heart is in music, right?
Right.
Okay, so when did you start doing music were you doing music before you came to Seoul?
I was doing music before I came to Seoul, yeah. So I was doing music, I was living in Tampa, that's where I went to college at.
Okay.
So I had a group that I was involved with in Tampa and I released my own solo music. So I had music prepared before I moved to Korea.
Okay.
And then once I got to Korea, I was just trying to figure out, okay, how can I join a different circle? Who do I need to reach out to? Who do I need to get in contact with now that I'm here?
So when you started to get involved in music in this country, what was response like? Do you find that people are more receptive here than back in Tampa?
It depends. It depends on the crowd. This is how it all started. I pretty much was going to hip hop events in Daejeon. When I first moved to Korea, I was living in a city called Daejeon, about an hour south of Seoul. So I was just in Facebook, on all the Facebook groups, just trying to find any hip hop groups. So I was in Doonsundong, And I went into this club. I just heard rap music playing, and I went inside, and they had performers in there. And so, you know, I'm introducing myself to people, letting them know who I am, where I'm from, and they let me know about their upcoming events. And, you know, I will always go, but when I went, I was the only foreigner there. So what I did was I just kept going to those events, meeting as many people as I could. And then I realized, like, there's a disconnect between, like, the foreigners and the Koreans, because I'm the only foreigner at the event, not just the only black person. I'm literally the only foreigner there. Yeah. So what I did was I started my own event called the Massive Mic Fest, and the goal of that was to merge the Korean artists along with the foreigner artists, because, you know, there's people here that are rappers or singers or dancers, but there's a disconnect. They don't have any way to get involved with each other. They don't even know that these events exist. So I threw that event, and that's how I started meeting more people, and that's how I got my first foot in the door, I guess.
Okay. So how do you balance being an English teacher by day, I suppose, and a rapper by night? How do you balance?
And just ambition. Is pure ambition, because it's difficult, you know, to work all day, which can be draining, and then try to stay in a creative thought process to create new music, and then be responsible for trying to contact people and set up shows and photo shoots and going to the studio, and just, you know, it's difficult. But if it's something that you're passionate about, you know, it can be done.
Do you enjoy teaching?
It's all right. I did for like the first 2 years.
Yeah.
And then after that, I can't really say like my heart is in it. It's something that I can do. I enjoy it at times. Yeah. But if I had a choice of that just being my primary job, of course I would choose music.
Okay. So what's the age group that you teach? Like, is it like adults?
So I teach the high going. So I teach ages from 7 up to 6th grade. Okay. So different levels. Yeah.
So how do the kids, right? How do they respond to you as a teacher when you walk into the classroom?
My kids love me. One, I'm the only male at my school.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, at most of the schools that I've taught at, usually I'm the only black person there. So everything about me is, like you said, wow, is a wow factor. The fact that I have a beard is like a wow factor. The fact that I have, you know, my hands are light on this side, my hands are brown on this side, like they're turning it over. Because like they might have seen black people on TV, but they never got to actually interact with the black person. So everything is different. Like they want to touch my hair, they want to touch my hands, they want to ask me everything. So I think they just view it as me being an interesting person because it's something they've never seen before.
What about the response to your tattoos and stuff? I know in Japan, there's like this
thing
about hair, is it?
So I keep my tattoos covered at work.
Okay.
But
why? Is it because of like a code of conduct thing, or?
It is. But you know, all my students, they always ask me like, why do I have the sleeve on? What is it for? And then once I show them, you know, they look at it, of course, another wow factor. But after that, they don't really care anymore. So me wearing a sleeve at work is usually just for parents, you know, because the parents might have a different view of someone with tattoos, you know.
I've never seen anyone, in Korea so far with tattoos. Like, is it a thing? Is it like a taboo type thing here? What's up with that?
There are people here with tattoos, but it's not a common thing. Not like you would see like in the States or elsewhere, you know. But there are people with tattoos. I have a friend that's a tattoo artist, actually, you know, but it's not a common thing here.
What is it like being black in Korea? Like, what has your experience been like so far? Like half a decade in this country. Tell me about that experience.
Overall, I would say it's pretty good. There's been instances of things that I did not like. For example, I would walk by a club, I hear the club playing American trap music, try to walk in the club, it's no black people allowed.
What?
Or sometimes it's no foreigners allowed. And that's kind of mind rattling. You know, like I said before, people don't want to sit by you on the train. I've actually had recruiters tell me that it's going to be difficult for us to place you at a position simply because they don't want a black teacher. I've had recruiters honestly tell me this. Wow. And even though it's their job to secure a job for me, they're just saying like, this is the difficulty that we're having, and it might not necessarily be the school, it might be the perception of the parents. So, you know, just things like that. You know?
That's big though, bro. Like
it is. It is.
Like I've heard like a few like statements from other people along those lines.
Yeah.
I'm like, how would I feel? I'm trying to like put myself in that position to try to get into a club that's playing American music.
Exactly.
I heard about even hip hop clubs.
Right. Yeah.
Where you can't, they're like, no black people allowed.
Yeah.
When they say it, is it like no black people allowed, period, done, moving on to the next person, or they engage you in a conversation? Like,
I mean,
what's that like?
It depends on if you want to pursue it. Like, because I have like Korean friends, and so we try to get into the club. My Korean friends are explaining like, no, it's okay, and they're just no. They don't even want to engage in the conversation. Just simply no. And so then I have my Korean friends trying to apologize. They're embarrassed. You know, like it's not their fault, but it's not really anything you can do about it. I guess from being here so long, I kind of just accept it and move on. At first, it's like, why? You try to plead your case. You try to change, make sure you're dressed good, have on some nice loafers, a button up. And when you realize that that's not really an issue, it's really just who you are, you kind of get over it and you know which clubs to avoid. I mean, it's sad, but that's really what it is.
How do you feel in that, man? How do you feel, man? Because you know in the States, you would not.
Right.
Like, that would not happen. There's no way that you'd be like, okay. Like, how do you feel?
I mean, it's disheartening at first, but I guess it's something you get used to after a while. Like, I'm no longer shocked by it. So if there's a club that just doesn't accept foreigners, it's just like, all right, I can't rock out here.
Is there any like reason behind it? Have you heard like explanations to try to justify this?
I mean, I've heard all kind of things.
There's no way to justify first of all.
I've heard, oh, foreigners cause too much trouble. I've heard that, oh, it's too hard to communicate with them. I've heard that people have left tabs open. They cause fights, or I've heard that they're scary and the women are afraid of them. I've heard all kind of things, you know, so how true any of it is, I'm not sure, but these are just excuses that I've heard as the reason that they don't want foreigners in their club. That has happened like multiple times. I don't want to paint this image of Korea as like, oh, you can't get in no clubs here, you can't get in no spots, but there are places like that exist that are just like no black people, or it's like no foreigners. So yeah, that's definitely a real thing, man.
I don't know, man, like that rubs me the wrong way. I've heard it and I'm like,
Definitely.
man, I'm like, I don't know, I'm like, that's, wow, eh? What do you think? Do you think anything can be done about that though? Like no foreigners allowed, like no black people allowed. I've heard those words verbatim. Like people communicated that to me that they can't go inside there. And you're a hip hop artist as well.
Right.
Like, have you ever been to a club to perform where this was a thing?
No, no, absolutely not. Because if that was the case, I wouldn't be able to perform there. And if I wasn't invited to a club to perform, and that was their policy, I probably wouldn't perform. Because that means none of my friends could get in. So I don't think I would do that. But that's never happened.
Okay. So just talking about just the club situation and them not allowing foreigners or black people in some cases.
Right.
Like, what do you think is the general attitude towards black people in this country, in your opinion?
For some people, I think they view black people negatively. And I'll tell you based on this. When I was living in Daejeon, I was hanging out with one of my friends. It was me, him, and two Korean girls. And one of the girls said to me, she said, "You're the first black person I ever felt comfortable around." Like, I didn't really know how to take that. So I paused for a minute and I asked her why. And she said, "Oh, well, because, you know, I've never really been around black people. And when I see them in the movies, like they're always the bad person and they have the guns and they have this and this." So her whole perception of black people was based off what she saw in the media, you know. And that's kind of sad, you know. I really believe in the golden rule. Treat others how you want to be treated. Like, that's simple. You don't have to look at media for that or anything. Like, would you want me to treat you how you're treating me? If the answer is no, that means you're doing something wrong. So the overall perception of everyone, I can't really say.
So okay, so let's move on to maybe a more positive note.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not so positive just yet.
Okay, I got you.
Hip-hop.
Hip-hop.
I did an interview and I saw comments.
Okay.
Someone was literally saying they wish hip-hop would die and be removed from the earth because they feel like, like we just spoke about media and how these people see black people as the villainous character and as black people because of what they've seen.
Right.
And this person is saying their position is that hip-hop helps perpetuate this negative stereotype. Like a lot of people look at it and think that this is the model for black people.
Right.
Can you define what is hip-hop to you?
What is hip-hop to me? I feel like hip-hop is just free expression. I feel like hip-hop is not something that can be taught unless you're behind the boards or you're making beats. That's something that someone can teach you. But as far as rapping, being a lyricist, that's just your creative genius and saying what you want to say and the cadence that you want to say. It's like being a painter. You're just drawing from your ideas and expressing it in the way that you want to.
Yeah.
So that's what hip-hop is to me. So as far as what you said about people, you said something about
Yeah, like they're saying like it perpetuates this negative stereotype, right?
I agree with that. There's some music that
It's the lyrics,
does that.
right?
It's the lyrics.
right? It's not the music itself.
It's not the music itself. It's the lyrics. Also the videos. You know, but I feel you can say the same thing about movies. You know,
True.
and I feel like you could differentiate between the artist that is glorifying it or an artist that's just telling you a story. I mean, for some people, it's just the news. Like, this is what I saw today. This is what I experienced as a child. This is what life is like where I'm from, and this is what I'm giving you. Some people are going to view that as negative, but if it's truthful, then what are we to say? You know, I do feel like there are different narratives that we can paint, but I feel like those artists don't really get focused on. You know, so
whose fault do you think that is? Because I watched a video before where someone was saying that like certain type of hip hop is sort of like a factory that manufactures a certain persona that people see and they try to embody that, right?
Right.
They try to emulate that behavior, right?
Okay.
So as you said, the artists that are conscious or they got really good lyrics,
Right.
but it's not negative or rowdy or raunchy or whatever,
Right.
they don't get the light of day.
Right.
Why do you think that is?
That's hard to answer. That's really hard to answer because I'll put it like this. Cardi B made a point. She said she made a song that was a little bit on the conscious side and nobody really wanted to hear it. And she got backlash from it. But when she talks about her body and what she does with men and talking about money, like these are the songs that people are most receptive to. So I can't say that this applies to everyone, but it just seems like that's the type of music that most people want to hear. And it seems like these are the type of songs that record labels are pushing. I'm not saying that they don't want other artists, but it just seems like these are the artists that are getting pushed. If you look at who's getting all of the record deals today, it's most of the guys that are around like 19, 20, have the same image, have the same content. A lot of them have the same sound. And it just seems like either that's what people want to hear or that's what they're just forcing in our face. So I really can't put my finger on it to say which is which, you know?
You know, I don't know if I should give my take on that because I'm a music buff. I love music 100%, right?
Right.
I'm from Jamaica. You know, like we got dancehall, we got reggae. And if you think about someone like Bob Marley,
right?
Like Bob Marley is like conscious, right? Like
Exactly.
The music that he's known for is conscious. And I feel like my personal take is that they're putting out what they want to put out. Right? Because an artist can be lyrical and still be positive.
Absolutely.
That just shows your depth. Like,
Absolutely.
If you can take any words you sling, any words, any way you want, because you're the artist. Right? And I feel like maybe it's a record label. Right. Maybe they want this image to be out there and they're trying to push it. Because if you can't get this type of music, you're going to take what they give to you, right? It's like movies, right?
Exactly.
Because I want to see good movies with black people,
exactly.
But you can hardly find that.
Exactly.
Sometimes you got to like, okay, let's just watch this one.
Exactly.
You can't find the one you want to see.
Right.
So do you think artists should push against that to like try to just do what they want to do regardless of how record labels view them or
that depends on the artist and it depends on your goal. If your goal is to end up on a major label and you feel like a major label is only looking for this and the only way to get on this major label is to do that, if that's what you choose to do, then by all means do that. But if you view hip hop like me and it's just self-expression, then you create the music that you want to create and your fans are going to be your fans. And if a label wants you or whoever wants to work with you, like they'll come to you. Or if you reach out to them and they respond to it, it is what it is. But you know, everybody has a different lane and everybody has a different goal. So, you know.
So you don't think the artist should take responsibility for the lyrics? No, what do you think?
Of course, you should take responsibility for the lyrics. Like that's your ideas, and this is what you're presenting to the world. But what I'm saying is, whatever it is that you decide to present, make sure that it's lining up with your goals. Like, make sure that you're doing this because it's going to get you to where you want to get to. You know what I mean?
What's like the best life advice that you've received overall in your life so far?
Perseverance. And it's not even advice, that's just one word, perseverance. Just never give up. And that's with anything. If it's music, if it's teaching, whatever your passion is, a lot of people don't have time to commit to their passion. Maybe they're working a lot, or maybe they have multiple children, or they're working multiple jobs. But I feel like just taking a small time to work on your passion is what's going to keep you happy. It's going to keep you sane. And who never knows when your passion might turn in to your 9 to 5, and that's all that you do. So just perseverance, like whatever the situation is, just try to work through it and keep going.
So you've been in Korea for 5 years.
5 years.
Is there a lesson that grew out of like that experience so far?
Absolutely, absolutely. Simply because in Korea, there's so many different people, like Korean people, South African people, Nigerian people, Russian people. Like there's people from all over the world here. So when you interact with people from all over the world, you get to have different insights, and what you think is normal might not be normal to them. And so just interacting with them and the lessons that you learn from the friendship that you've built, the friendship that you destroyed, the lesson that you learn, you're able to have a new perspective when you approach new problems, because now you can pull in information from each person that you've experienced, you know? So it's definitely broadened my scope of things, you know, just only being around one particular group of people, like your mindset is gonna be like this. And I'm not saying that you're gonna always agree with people that have a different perspective, but at least you're able to understand and you're able to do things differently, you know? So,
That's good. If there was one message that you could share with everyone that's watching right now, what would it be?
one message that I could share with everyone in the world: just be positive. Be positive in all things. I know that's hard to do. You know, we experience a lot of negative things and things that are not justified, but always try to look at the good in things. Even if it's something bad, there's always a lesson in it. So just try to learn from it, even if you can't be happy, so that when you experience something new, you take what you learn and you apply it.
Is there something, well, name one thing that Korea does really well that you think the world can learn from?
Cook. Cook. Oh man, I love Korean food. I love Korean food.
What's your favorite?
I love all chicken dishes. I love jimdak. Jimdak is probably one of my favorite dishes. Have you ever had it?
No, what's that?
So jimdak is like a rice cake with noodles and potatoes and carrots and like this stew dish. It's really good, man. You gotta try it. It's like stewed chicken.
What do you like the least about Korea?
What do I like the least about Korea? I feel like there's a certain level of acceptance that people don't get to reach. I feel like certain people just like are not accepted here. And I'm not even just speaking about me personally. This is just stories I've heard from other people that have tried to venture into other things, and it's just simply just not accepted. Like I said, even trying to maintain a job here, working a job, I've definitely been pinpointed for things that other coworkers have not, simply because of this. And I've even I had a school that gave us a hoodie that we could wear at work. It had the school name on it. Yeah. And they said that we could wear it to work. So I wore my hoodies to work, zipped up, and they reprimanded me saying that I didn't have on a button-up shirt under this. Mind you, there was a guy who sat right next to me, never wore a button-up shirt. He wore a V-neck all the time, taco meat flying everywhere. Another teacher wore a sweater like every day, and this guy won Teacher of the Year. But they used to just pinpoint me for a lot of small things. And I've even had other coworkers come up to me and say, I don't understand why they treat you like that. And like I said, just trying to find a job here, saying that they can't place me simply due to my race or my skin color. I've been asked, why do I look so angry simply because I'm not, you know, like this is my normal face, but you know.
They ask you that at your work?
Yeah. But you know, just small things like that. It's just, I didn't really understand, but when it's different.
Do you think there's something that can be done to sort of like, to help change the perception or something?
I don't know. I think people have to be willing to change. I feel like people have to be interested in that. If they don't feel like there's a problem, then no. But I feel like as far as, there are a lot of people in Korea that are doing a lot of positive things, and I feel like they're overlooked for whatever reason it is. Like I said, I just feel like they're just not accepted for whatever reason it is. It might not even be race, I'm not sure, because I don't know from a primary source. There is someone here who's very famous, and you know, I don't want to mention his name because I don't know his situation, but he's talked about, even though Koreans respect him.
Foreigner?
He's a foreigner, yeah. And he's just talked about the difficulties he's had getting placed in certain places simply due to his race. I've heard of, you know, Koreans that might be mixed or from America, and they're not really accepted, you know, because they're mixed or because they're from America. So, you know, I just feel like people have different struggles based on who they are. It's not really based on their talent or based on what they can do. It's simply because we don't want you, or we're not gonna accept you because this is who you are. And I feel like that's really hard to change, because you cannot change your appearance, you know? You can only change your character.
Do you think it's because the people that are on the receiving end of such treatment, because they accept it, why it continues?
Say it again?
Do you think it's because the people that are on the receiving end, right, that they just like, okay, they're nonchalant about it, they accept the behavior that's directed toward them, why it actually continues?
Okay, let me say this. In Korea, a lot of people, they're here with minimal friends, no family. So who's really going to help you fight your case? Like if you're at a job and you experience racism or you experience something that you are just not content with, how are you really going to fight this battle? I feel a lot of times it's when you're in Rome, do as the Romans do. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like,
but if the Romans are not experiencing that, you're understanding.
What I mean is, you are here and you kind of have to abide by the rules. You can show some resistance, but how far is it going to get you, and how much help do you have? Like how much leeway do you have? You really don't. So that's why I feel like a lot of people just don't say anything, or they put up with it simply because they're like, this is my job. I need my job. It's not that easy for me to find a new job. So let me just brush it under the rug. Let me keep going. I'm not saying this is everybody's case, but I know a lot of people do feel like that, because there are a lot of people that have experienced things and they know that they really can't do anything about it. Like, I don't want to paint this picture of Korea being like a horrible place.
But you're talking about stuff that happens, right?
Yeah, of course.
What would you say is your biggest achievement so far, or accomplishment so far in your life?
I would say moving to Korea. Like that was really huge for me. Yeah. But outside of that, just my first performance in another country. Yeah. And I think my first performance was in the Philippines. So just to go there, to have people just going crazy and singing along with me, and it was insane. Like that's something that I never even dreamed of doing. Yeah. You know, it was wild. So I would say that was probably like the biggest accomplishment. You know.
So what would you say is your ambition for life in Korea? Like the next 3 years out, where do you see yourself? What do you want to accomplish by then?
What do I want to accomplish by then? To be able to just make music and not teach. I would like to solely be able to just do music. It doesn't even have to be in Korea. I would just like to only work on music. So that's it for right now.
Okay. I think you mentioned this earlier, but what's your position on someone pursuing their passion, like going after what you love or doing what you love versus just doing what other people want you to do, or the status quo type of approach to work? Like, what's your take on that?
I don't know the poem verbatim, but there's a poem called The Man in the Glass. And basically the poem is about, at the end of the day, when you look in the glass, you see yourself. That's your best friend. And when you look at your best friend, like, is your friend happy with you? Did you cheat your friend? Do you feel like you've invested everything you could into your friend, which is yourself? So when it comes to pursuing your passion, I think that you should absolutely do that. Like, don't let anybody else determine your life. And this goes for, don't do what your mom tells you to do. Don't do what your dad tells you to do. I mean, of course, listen to them, but respect them. But you have to make your own decisions, because at the end of the day, if you're doing what other people tell you to do and you're not happy, when you get older, you're going to look back with regrets. So I say, whatever you want to do, whatever your passion is, do that. Do that. And whatever you have to do to make it happen, do it. Do it. Even if you fail, do it. Because you never know when your breakthrough's coming. And at the end of the day, you're going to be happy knowing that you put effort into something that you truly wanted to do, as opposed to putting your effort into a 9-to-5 that you really didn't want to do. You know what I mean?
Do you feel lonely here at times? Like,
nah, not really. I mean, I'm in a fraternity here. I have a lot of friends, so not really. Nah, because Omega Psi Phi.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about that.
So I don't feel lonely because Omega Psi Phi means friendship is essential to the soul. So, you know, I have friends here. I have friends all over the world, you know. I don't really feel lonely. We get together a lot. We do a lot of programs. We just had a boat ride party. That money is going towards scholarships. We had our talent hunt program, which is where we have high school students come and perform their talent. They were awarded scholarships. We have health initiatives. We have voters registration programs. So we're really active in the community. And, you know, we spend a lot of time with each other, you know, because we know that we're here in a country where there's not a lot of us. So, you know, we need that time to bond, whether it's just venting or just hanging out, talking with each other, or just having fun, you know, like that's necessary, you know.
Any advice for Black people looking to come here? You know, there's just some of the stuff that came out of this interview, I think people need to be aware of that and prepared for that when they're coming here, right? So any advice?
My advice would say, my advice would be study a little bit about the culture before you come here. Try to learn a little bit about the language and the customs. I absolutely did not. Like I said, I came here strictly off impulse. So if you're interested in coming to South Korea, try to find a friend here, try to join some groups, gather as much information as you can to make sure that this is the best decision for you, you know, or just come for the experience something new, meet new people. And if you don't like it, you can say, hey, I had the experience. I'm going to take this with me and apply it into my next venture.
Okay. Is there a misconception? What's like a common misconception about life in South Korea?
A common misconception about life in South Korea? I don't know. Most people that I know that are not already here, they don't really know much about Korea at all. You know, they know that it exists, and that's about it. So I don't really know like what if there is a misconception.
You said you never knew anything before you.
I didn't know anything about South Korea. I knew it existed, but I didn't know anything about South Korea before I moved here. When I used to live in Daejeon, you know, you just in the club, and I might be talking to a Korean girl. I might not even be trying to holler. Like I'm just there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm new in the city. I need to learn my environment. So you're talking to girls or whatever. Korean guys, it's kind of different. Like in the club, a lot of Korean guys, like they stand with their friends. The girls kind of do their own thing or whatever. You know, I guess when you see foreigners, like the foreigners, like they're trying to talk to chicks. Yeah. You know, so you're in the club, you're talking whatever. A Korean guy might walk up and just start talking to her in Korean. You know,
while you're there talking to
her. Yeah, like just interrupt your conversation. Oh, wow. You know, or like I've been in situations where they come up and be like, like yo chingu, that means like girlfriend, like, oh, this is my girlfriend. And then like they're talking like 5 minutes Korean, they'll walk away, and you ask the girl like, yo, you know him? She's like, I don't know, a stranger. And I realized like one of my friends told me that I guess a lot of Korean men don't like Korean women talking to foreigners. I'm not saying this is true for all Korean men, but I've been told this on multiple occasions, and like that has happened to me multiple times. Like just in the club, hanging out, vibing, you know, and a Korean man might walk up and just, friends, right? Yeah, Korean man might walk up and just totally interrupt the conversation simply because he doesn't want you there. Never understood that. And like you said, I'm sure like that would not happen in the USA. Like that's a huge sign of disrespect. Yeah. I don't care who the guy is. Like if he's talking to a woman, you're not just gonna walk up and just,
another guy there.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless it's your actual girl and you're like, oh.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Yeah.
Wow. If you could change one thing in the world, what would it be? Anything.
If I could change anything, it would probably be not judging people based on the way that they look. And this is not just skin color, it could be anything else, but just your appearance. And I say that to say this. If there was a catastrophe that happened right now, you were white, this person's Asian, this person's from wherever, you got water, this person has food, this person is a doctor. We all need food from this person. We all need water from this person. This person here can heal us. At that point, it's not gonna matter. It's just like, yo, we need each other. And I realized like once people get to that, then they'll really realize like a lot of the things that we argue and disagree about is very minimal. Like we're just different in various ways. You know?
But we're more alike than different.
Oh, I agree with that. I agree.
We're more 100%. Different.
I agree with that 1,000%. Go ahead.
If there was one person that you could have dinner with, anyone dead or alive, who would it be and why? So you could sit down for an hour, have dinner, have a drink, have a chat. Who would that person be and why?
Probably Marcus Garvey. Okay. Probably Marcus Garvey.
Okay, cool. That's a good one.
Yeah, probably Marcus Garvey, man. Simply because he was responsible for uniting like the most black people ever. I think in his movement, he had 15 million people. Yeah. And that's someone whose book I've read multiple times.
He's from Jamaica, right?
Yeah, I know he's from Jamaica. Of course, man. I know everything about Marcus Garvey. Yeah, man.
Okay, cool.
So, I wonder like what gave him the drive to want to do it on that level. Yeah. You know, like because he's different than a Noble Drew Ali or Elijah Muhammad or a lot of different scholars. Like the level that he did it on, it hasn't been done again. And that's somebody that I would like to have a conversation with and just to see like, where was his mind at? what inspired you to do this? And like, you know, I would like for him to see the world today and wonder if his thoughts would be the same. What would he do different? You know, or would he do the same thing? Like, I would just want to have a deep conversation with him and just pick his brain about everything that he's ever said. You know?
Is there do you have a favorite quote from him, from something you've read?
Yeah, man, our skin is a badge of honor. You know, our skin is a badge of honor. And I know it might be contradictory for me to say that I wish people would get past our, you know, physical appearance. But at the same time, we understand the condition that we're in. We realize that today we're going to get viewed differently because of how we look. And I feel like there are a lot of people that are ashamed of their appearance and they try to change their appearance because they're not aware that this is a badge of honor. So yeah, that's one thing that I like that he said, you know, to not be it doesn't just have to be skin color. Like I said, you could just take that and apply it to just simply be proud of who you are. Be proud of who you are, be proud of what you stand on, be proud of what you know, be willing to grow, but just be proud of like you know, don't be ashamed of it.
What's your favorite book?
My favorite book is The Philosophy and Opinions of Marcus Garvey.
Tell me, like, what's your favorite song in terms of the song that you've done yourself? Which one of your songs is your favorite? And why?
One of my favorite songs is probably These Three Words. It's a video that I shot in Hong Kong. And
why?
I just like my content in that song. Like I talked about being an African and traveling through the world and just my experiences in that song. So that's probably one of my favorite songs. Supreme Lord of my world, capitals happening, diametrical shorter, but you can say that and I'm back again. Worthy of the praise, but they're tagging it, so I carry the cross across the world while I'm still embracing my African roots, while I'm still in pursuit, living some trafficking. Perilous, I know when I'm past the point of imagining, still my world is kill or be killed. I kill when I'm rapping, it's still a verbal sword, I can split them, leave a half a man, never indirect, I'm on point conveying my narrative, allegory your story, you find the truth and then cherish it. Skill for skill, to be real, you in embarrassment, see me, you can't do B, cause you average, yo. Mayweather got a stunt like champ, I'm quick like Nick, the handle make you jump like Grant. Nah, but my favorite rapper ever is Jay-Z. Like once I started listening to Jay-Z, yeah, that solidified it for me. Like that's my favorite rapper ever, Jay-Z.
All right, so you told me that you started traveling outside of Korea to perform. So
yeah.
Tell me about that. Where have you been so far?
Oh man,
What's the experience been like?
I performed in Philippines 3 times. I performed in Hong Kong. I performed in Philippines, Hong Kong. I performed in Tokyo, I performed in Thailand, and of course here in Korea. It's different. Like to have a club full of people singing along with you, you see your name on the big sign, you know, they treat you good, everybody wants to take pictures with you, they're singing along, it's just an awesome experience. What I like most about Korea, when you do make a friendship with a person in Korea, like it's genuine and it's real. I've met some amazing people here. You know, like I think like my landlord, for example, I know that's a bad example to use because I'm paying her rent. Like she's like an 80-year-old woman, makes me kimchi all the time, like always comes and checks on me how I'm doing. Like she's just an awesome person. And I just think like a lot of people that I've met out here are just genuinely nice people. And the ones that you do connect with, they want to see like you do better. That's why I say, you know, it depends on the individual. But I feel like that's in every situation because you can't throw everybody into one category, you know?
So tell me, what's your favorite thing about Korea?
I'm gonna go and say safety. I feel really safe here. There's not a lot of crime here. The police don't carry guns. People don't carry guns. So I feel like really safe. Like if I see a policeman walking by, like I have no fear at all, at all. I've never been stopped by a policeman here. So it's just a certain level of security here, you know.
So what about your favorite place in Korea? Is there somewhere here that you say is a must visit?
A place that is must visit, I feel like that depends on what you like to do.
But for you though, yeah, what's your favorite place in Korea?
My favorite place, I think it's called Gyeonggi Mountain. It was down in Daejeon and it was a mountain. I went hiking out there and just the scenery and everything around it was like really, really good. Another one that I like is Noryeongjin Seafood Market. If you go to Noryeongjin, you gotta go to the seafood market. Like where they have the king crabs and the salmon is excellent. Best seafood ever.
Where can people find you online? So if they want to get in touch with Atwaters, where should they go?
Atwaters Music. Just Google Atwaters Music, it'll pop up. YouTube, Atwaters Music. Facebook, Atwaters Music. Instagram, Atwaters 4 Show. It's Atwaters, the number 4, SHO.
Okay. Atwaters, respect. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Guys, there you have it. Andrew Atwaters. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, hit the thumbs up button and remember to subscribe for weekly videos on the Black experience across the globe. See you guys next time. Bye for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you would like to share your story or have us visit your region, send us a message on any of our social media platforms or via our website.
That's good.